a videotape today on keeping folks training, why they run.
Are you all ready for next weekend?
I gotta be right.
That's right.
Yeah, well, we're putting our money on you, Pat.
All right, I got your money on
Another year.
Yeah.
You're
What did you say? Oh, Chicago Marathon. Yeah, everybody does his part.
You're still doing well, right?
Oh, yeah. 12 and a half years.
12 and a half years.
Yeah, it's not leukemia, it's essential scoliosis, but
Right,
it's still,
same,
still a
Kissing
relative.
cousin.
a relative,
Yeah.
a blood disease,
Yeah.
which they're part of supporting or research on, right?
Oh, yeah. Very good.
right.
And your nephew's still doing fine?
He's doing super, yeah.
Okay.
We had a celebration for him, 5 years cancer-free, the ice cream social, 90 people came over.
Oh.
You know,
Okay.
so.
Okay. Hey, good luck. We'll
Yeah,
be
thank
checking the trip next
That's right.
week.
You have a wonderful day now.
She's a 12-year survivor of a form of blood cancer, and so she wasn't supposed to be alive. Lucky to have her.
My mother got cancer, and I went out to Denver to be with her. I came back to Chicago after she died, and I was just exhausted and grief-stricken and racked with guilt, which is one thing that happens when someone dies and you think of all the unresolved things and the things you wish you had said. Of course, you always think you have all the time in the world, and you don't. I never made a tape of my playing for her. She'd always asked me for that, and I just never got around to it. And I think I mentioned it to a friend, and he said, you know, Leslie, you should just go ahead and make a recording in her honor. And I thought to myself, you know, that's what I should do. And I went into the recording studio and just started recording, and it was extremely cathartic. It helped me heal, and I was writing furiously a new piece practically every week.
Sort of bigger. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, boom. And then it goes back to the theme again.
And I found out about Team in Training because my percussionist, Geraldo, who's also a good friend, was training to run in the Chicago Marathon.
I walked into the studio to do my part, and Leslie looks at me and says, gee, you're looking good. What are you doing to keep your boyish figure? Of course, to me at 55, the boyish figure came just perfectly. You know, I love that. And I told her, see, I'm running a marathon. And of course, everybody thought it was a joke, but it was not a joke.
At that point in my life, I was just extremely frustrated. I was very burned out, tired of teaching. I became saddled with the responsibility of my father, who has Alzheimer's, and there's really no one else to take care of him except me. And I realized that I was kind of at a crisis point. So I got a hold of Geraldo's training schedule, and I started following it. I just decided I was going to start running. I was going to give it a try and see if that would help me to feel better. But every single time I went out there, I just felt this brick wall of resistance. I just did not want to do it. And for some reason, I think just because I was feeling at the end of my rope and then I just had to do something different, I stuck with it.
My knee was killing me.
You know why? Because you did not listen to me. But I said I'll tell her later when she pays the price.
The spring rolled around, and Geraldo was going to sign up for Team in Training again, and he said, come on, you're coming with me. And I'm like, oh my God, no, I can't do that. I can't run a marathon. And no, come on, you just come. And I went to the first get-together, and it was out in the suburbs, and there were a lot of families there who had their sick kids with them.
Hi, I'm running for my son, and so he kind of wanted me to see if I could get some how I just made that vegan.
Many of those family members proceeded to get up and talk to the group, and that wasn't something I had expected.
10 years ago in Chicago, a small group of people were getting together to train for the Chicago Marathon. However, what was different about this assemblage was that they were training with an experimental group called Team in Training with the Leukemia Society of America.
You go down to the third table.
Little did those 25 people know that soon they'd meet a 6-year-old girl named Pajay, who across town in a Chicago suburb was learning, rather unsuccessfully I should say, to try and ride her two-wheeler. Pajay was starting a marathon of her own. At a school physical with her mom, she was being told that she had ALL, acute lymphocytic leukemia, the most common form of childhood cancer.
This is my son Keegan. That's Riley.
6 weeks later, they all went down to the start of the 17th annual Chicago Marathon, and Pajay stood in the cold Chicago morning dew and cheered on those first Team in Training participants. Hours later, Pajay was rushed to the hospital with a fever of 103, but a smile on her face, because she knew she'd become part of something spectacular. Team in Training has grown from a meek entity to a mighty powerhouse, giving hope and encouragement to all who join her ranks. In the saddest sense, both my husband Rich and I have been proud to have been here from the beginning of this program. We've seen the events expand from marathons to century rides to triathlons. We've seen the survival rate of ALL increase from 75 to 90%. The development of drugs like Gleevec, which greatly improves the quality of life of leukemia patients. And we hope to be there at that finish line of that last race, the day where no more friends lose their neighbors, no more children lose their parents, no more brothers lose their sisters, no more wives lose their husbands, and especially that day when no more parents like Rich and I lose their children. Thank you very much for your dedication to this program, your commitment to the team, your generosity of time, but most importantly, I want to thank you very much for giving these patient honorees and their families the gift of life. Without you, none of this would happen. Thank you very much, and I hope you all have a great season.
It just moved me dead off of wherever it was that I had been up until that point in time. I mean, there was a reason that I went that day. I was too focused on myself and trying to get somewhere in life and trying to have something. And that was the beginning of me shifting my focus off of myself and onto other people. And I thought, how can I combine my skills to reach more people, to let them know that, hey, I'm now 52 years old. I know people who are older than I am. I know people who have overcome devastating cancer experiences. We're out here, we're running. We can do it, so can you. And I'm hoping to reach people who are sitting out there thinking that they can't do something, and I want them to realize that they can, and perhaps by us sharing our stories on film, that might inspire other people who were thinking that they would never do such a thing to get out there and give it a try.
So Marty, I understand you've signed up for Team in Training. What made you decide to do that?
Well, I've always wanted to run a marathon. I tried about 10 years ago, and I got up to about, I don't know, around 8 miles, and I just couldn't do it anymore. That was the max I could do. And then I was getting a lot of pressure at home from, you're taking too much time with this, and what's the need anyway? Why do you need to do it? And so then I quit training.
That second or second and a half could be the difference between you winning and you losing. You have to win. You can't lose. Okay, get ready for the drill. Stand by. Fire.
I'm now divorced. I was married for 28 years, and it fell apart. And I'm just trying to piece myself back together and get started all over again with my life. Everything was about my family, and that's what my life evolved around. And now I don't have that anymore. And it breaks my heart. I don't know what to do. And if I can get out and be around other people and kind of have a purpose, that maybe that's going to help me start putting things back together. But it's such a empty feeling that I have, and just so incredibly lonely. It's like being lost in a big forest and can't find my way. Someday that emptiness will go away. Someday.
It takes time to build a new life. It doesn't happen overnight. So I think it's fantastic that you're willing to give this a shot. And I think you're not going to be sorry. I think you're going to be well rewarded for your effort. I can pretty much guarantee that. You just show up every week. Stick with the training schedule. You will definitely get across the finish line.
Remember, smooth is fast. Fast is smooth. Here's a good place to take your time, get your muscle memory down, and then you just speed it up. If you're finding that you're going just a little too fast, then it's slow down a step. And you know, you can always build your speed up.
And now I would like to introduce Mimi Noonan and her family.
It's going to be really hard for Keegan to stand still while we speak here. I'm Mimi Noonan. This is my husband, Doug Grant. This is Keegan, ever enthusiastic Grant. My son, Riley, as well, is here. And we are here today because on March 1st of 2004, Keegan was diagnosed with acute lymphocytic leukemia. And we knew we had to get moving, and we looked out and saw this vision of purple, and we decided to join this team. And at the time, we really didn't know exactly what it would mean to our family. And I just have to tell you, when we come down here and we stand shoulder to shoulder with you people, we just know that this is a battle that we'll win. Keegan started chemotherapy in March of 2004, and he's going to finish sometime in late 2007. He's been through round after round of aggressive chemotherapy. He's been through radiation, and our family has just been through the ringer with this disease. On the same day that Keegan was diagnosed, some 30 other children were diagnosed with the same type of cancer that he has. So when we go out through the rest of today, kind of limping through the day, people will come up to us and say, "My God, you're just amazing." And you know what we say to those people? We say, get moving. And if you can't get moving, get out your checkbook and make a difference, because we are within reach of a cure. So we thank you so much for being there. When you are done today, if you take it into your heart what kids and families go through with this disease, I promise you the only muscle that's going to tear is your heart. So get out there and have a great time, and thank you so much for being there.
How you
Oh my
doing?
gosh, what is that?
Kathy's homemade gazpacho. And
Gazpacho.
it was just made today.
Oh my gosh,
In fact, the
Keegan.
kitchen's a disaster.
Oh, I'll bet. If you can toss your shoes, that would be
Oh,
awesome.
it's absolutely no problem.
You do have these are like antibacterial mats.
How did your sister do?
She did
today?
okay. 14 months?
Yeah. And she did.
Every week is her longest run.
This is her first time.
This is her first time ever running.
I wish she was running with us because that would.
I know, yeah.
Well, if she made it 14, then
she's gonna do it.
she can do it.
She's gonna do it.
Yeah.
Especially 14 in the heat is a huge, it's huge. We had to reteach my parents how to wash their hands because they're in their 70s and their idea of washing their hands is like, okay, I'm done,
Yeah.
So,
am I doing it right?
no, you just have
Do it for a while.
What we tell everybody is to like say the ABCs.
Oh, okay.
While you're washing your hands. Then it's like 20 seconds of contact time. In 20 seconds, you can kill 99% of germs. In order to kill the last like 1% of germs, you have to scrub for 10 minutes. So we go for the 99.
Okay.
So, and the boys have learned very well to wash their hands.
Them and weird video games. It's not a video game, Keegan. It's not a video game, Keegan.
This is our room that's sort of devoted to our little girl. We celebrated her birthday every single month. So we have like hundreds of pictures. Our housekeeper used to call her Anya because she's Polish and she had a really hard time saying Tierney. So she worked in a bakery, so she would make her cakes that said "Happy Birthday, Anya," because Anne was her middle name. She had trisomy 18. She had an extra 18th chromosome, and for a variety of different reasons and the way your genes work, trisomy 18 is considered incompatible with life. 93% of the kids die in the first year of life. So we went to the kickoff, and honest to God, Leslie, the stress was so high within our family that we were barely speaking to each other. And for sure, we were feeling sorry for ourselves. I mean, we just sort of sat in that room and thought, our lives stink. We have a kid with cancer, and we have this daughter who's so fragile, and there was a family there who talked about Paige's mom. They had lost her years before, and they were still running. So we just sort of saw them and thought, you know what, just stop complaining, stop worrying about what is going on, and just go, just move. I mean, the thing is, leukemia doesn't come into your life when you're flush with money, when all of your other kids are healthy. It just happens. I mean, it comes into your life no matter what. This is not a disease that you smoke yourself into it or you abuse your body into it. It just happens. It's the disease of the sinless in the world. I mean, whether you like it or not, it's going to come into your life and it's going to take over your life and your child's life. So that just happened to be our situation at the starting point.
We've actually worked our way up to where we are now. I mean, we had trainer wheels with, Riley having seizures. And,
Riley had seizures as a baby.
Right, so he was, we didn't know if he was going to be able to talk, he was actually flown a helicopter one icy night down to Children's Hospital in Cincinnati and had problems. And we built up. We've had, we've had animals die and we've learned to, deal with that. And then we had, Tierney come along, and then we had Keegan on top of that, and now Keegan's at another level. And, so I guess it's like, marathon training. You work your way up from first 3 miles to 10 miles to 14 miles.
And it's a horrible thing, but we were like, okay, this is the next challenge, and we're going to go forward. What can you do? And I think that is, that's like the metaphor for the marathon. It's like, this is the distance. You can be miserable or you can be strong. You're still going to go that distance. So, and that's just the way we do it. So we go.
Yeah, what else are you going to do?
What else are you going to do?
I meet all these people who are like, oh, but I've never run more than 2 miles. I don't think I can do this. And I say, honey, if you could walk 100 yards and you really want to do this, you can do a marathon. I know it for a fact because I was living proof.
I had to basically learn how to walk all over again. I was tired, my chest hurt, my heart was just
rewired. I had these new legs that didn't have as many veins, and I had to start basically from scratch. So I remember once again going to my mailbox and finding once again this little flyer from Team in Training. And I thought, you know what? To hell with it, I'm doing it. So from that point, I started training with the team, and with me, my training was a little different because I had to walk 100 yards, and then I started to run 10 yards and then walk another 100 yards, and it just went from there. Less than a year after my third and hopefully final heart surgery, I was able to complete my first marathon with the Team in Training program. And it's amazing to me just how everything comes so full circle. I don't know if you remember way back I was telling you how I was part of this little clinical trial and how they didn't know other oncologists wanted to touch me, but these people at Stanford had this clinical trial and they said, okay, we'll take you on. Well, here's the thing. That whole clinical trial that I got to be a part of, that was 100% sponsored and funded by the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society of the Northern California chapter. So here's the thing, if it weren't for people like you guys, the truth of the matter is that I wouldn't even be here with you guys today to tell you my story. Because if you guys weren't doing what you're doing right now, I wouldn't be here. Doug wouldn't be here. Mike wouldn't be here. Jack wouldn't be here. And we will never be able to express to you how much gratitude we have for everything that you guys are doing for us. Thank you very much. I'm afraid sometimes that I'm going to get cancer again. I mean, lymphoma comes back sometimes. I'm afraid that my heart's going to decide to stop working. I mean, what do? I would have to go through surgeries again, you know. I do everything I can right now to make sure that it doesn't. I do a lot of exercise and cardio and long runs, but there's no guarantees. You know, there's no guarantees. A very large tumor had grown 3/4 of the way around my heart. No blood was getting back into my heart from my head or my arms because I was essentially being asphyxiated from the inside. So I went to see a few different doctors, and finally one of them said, there's this little program that we're going to do. It's pretty heavy duty. We're going to give you 6 months of chemo, 3 months of the radiation. You could end up with long-term lung, heart, liver, and or kidney damage. If you don't do what we're telling you to do, at the rate this thing is growing, you will die within 3 to 4 weeks. And this is what we're going to have to do to save you, and you start in 2 days. It was beyond the worst nightmare. I just couldn't believe that I had always tried to be healthy. I had always done a little bit of exercise. I had always tried to eat right. I never smoked. I wasn't a big drinker. And look, I'm getting cancer. I was so scared. I just prayed and I prayed and I prayed to God and I prayed to my grandmother, because I knew to make it through what I had to get through, I knew that it was going to take a lot more. It was going to take a lot more strength than what I had in me at that moment. And I just called to them and I said, please, please help me get through this. And I felt okay. And I don't know how to explain it. I felt okay, and I went and I talked to my mom, and my eyes are red, you know, and I was finally at the point where I'm like, we're fine. We're totally fine.
We were not looking at a sick person who was just, you know, falling down, laying down and ready to die. No, we were looking at a person who was more desire and more will to live than any of us altogether. So that really infused us with a lot of strength, a lot of courage, and then finally went into remission. Yeah. But you know, after a few years later, the consequences of that treatment were very bad.
Yeah. So this time they had to go into my legs. They had to cut some veins out of my legs to make a big tube. And then I had to basically learn how to walk again, how to run again, because they took veins from my legs, so everything was a little bit different. And at first, it hurt. At first, every little step was like, oh. And that was just while your nerves regenerate.
One day when you were recuperating, you wanted to go out walking from there to a place. You can relate that experience that she wanted to go to Panera to have a cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
That place was about half a mile.
No.
The distance was not that, but it was hills. It wasn't level. I remember, like when we lived there.
It wasn't that far. It was like across the street.
And my wife was in a state of anguish, fear that something might happen to her. But you, well,
I went very slow.
Stubborn like your mother, you went through.
Like my mother?
And we were dying in anguish, thinking that something happened to you, and you told us, don't worry, don't come for me. I'm going to come back on my own. So we were there, sitting there, waiting for you. And after you went through all that, I remember you ran a marathon. Mm-hmm. That was shocking to us. We said, what does she has in her mind? What is she trying to do? She's trying to kill us? I mean, we are going to die thinking of what's going to happen to her. She went into this marathon, and we say, no, we have to go with you. Not only you, my wife and I went. My daughter Pamela
and Gabriel.
John and Gabriel went with us. We went to Maui. We wanted to be with you every second of your race. As a matter of fact, you were running, and we were in the car next to you, because good thing on that marathon they allow the cars to go next to the runners.
Oh my God.
And you ran beautifully. But she showed so much determination and so much willpower, and she projected so much optimism and positivism all around that. Well, when you have one person that's irradiating so much positive energy around you, it permeates, it goes through the other people.
If none of that had happened, I would have no idea just how strong I am and how much power I have inside of me. People have no idea if they open up their minds to just the possibilities, if they just allow their minds to be open, they would realize how much power they have inside of them.
Legal?
Well, it's a borderline.
It's borderline. So we're gonna do it one more time, and we're just gonna punch in and punch out, and then you'll hear the tape stop. So just stop when you hear the tape stopping, okay?
The word in sync applies to the music and applies to running. It's very similar, the experience, You have sometimes to speed up, sometimes you have to slow down to accommodate yourself within that group of people running in the same way we do on stage. Rhythm is what keeps them together. The band has to follow a rhythm in order to be successful. Running as a group is pretty much the same thing. If that group is like keeping the same rhythm and we're running together, that creates so many opportunities for friendship and support.
And so this just kind of keeps everything in place and keeps it in the groove. And you'll see it. There's a hot dog stand there. Yeah. You'll recognize it.
I tell you that it was.
And you can just talk for a while.
Right
on the corner there.
After like 10 miles.
You'll be ahead of us. And all you have to do is and then you can. We'll go from there. Okay. Sorry you can't join us, big guy.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. But look at you got a shoe on. That's an improvement.
I I got hit by a drunk in an intersection, but I'm very, very lucky. I come out of it better than most people ever do, and very glad to be here. I got my foot hyperextended underneath the bike, and then it got wedged between the curb and the bike. The doctor thinks that there could possibly be a stress fracture. So we're getting better. It's not as fast as I'd like it to be. I'd like to be out with the team running today, but I'll be back shortly.
I am Barbara Friedman, patient honorary captain for the North teams. I've been a fixture here with Team in Training, longer than most, but not as long as some. For those who don't know me, my son Kevin was diagnosed with CML in kindergarten at the age of 5. There was no Gleevec back then. No reasonable treatment for cure except bone marrow transplant. None of the family matched. Even if a donor was found, he'd only have 20% odds of making it. Thankfully, a donor was found. The transplant was performed, and Kevin recovered. He turned 18 3 weeks ago. He's now a freshman in college. This is a tale of two moms. The other mom is Mimi Noonan. A few years ago, her son Keegan was diagnosed with leukemia. After a nearly 3-year chemo routine, Keegan relapsed this summer. We've all been keeping track of Keegan since then. We all rallied at his many bone marrow drives. We celebrated cautiously when a marrow donor was found. We sent him off to the hospital with much fanfare in early August. We ached for the family when he developed graft versus host and CMV. And now, we grieve together, as just this past Tuesday, Keegan had become one of Team in Training's newest angels. Today, during our training run, Mimi will bury her precious hero. She will not have any more proud parental moments about Keegan. She will have no more pictures to take of him. She will only be able to speculate on what he could have become. Two moms, two very different stories, one common goal. Mimi and I are both intending to run the Chicago Marathon in honor of our sons. And along with you, we are fundraising in hopes for a cure. These funds will not affect either of our sons now, but we still have that common goal. So as you do your longest training run so far this season, think of the tale of two moms. Any aches and pains that you may feel today will pale in comparison to the hole in Mimi's heart and soul that only Keegan could have filled. We dedicate our training today to Mimi Noonan and the rest of the family as they mourn the loss of their beautiful boy Keegan, a true Team in Training hero.
We were coming back from a long run, and it was a hot day, it was miserable. And to have this tiny little body come running up to you and saying, "Yay!" it really makes you want to go out and do it all over again. He would jump up and down. I've never been slapped on the rear end by a guy I wanted to turn around and hug so much. There's nobody there, then you look down and there he was.
Collide?
No, I'll go behind you. The dust comes.
So Ron, we're both running next Sunday.
Right.
Are you ready? You too. Are you ready? Oh, he's always
No.
ready. I'm excited.
Oh, good. It'll be fun.
Yeah, we'll probably meet up afterwards and talk.
Okay, come over to our house. Yeah. We have a gathering.
Or see that they're really
Right.
have to make arrangements.
8 years ago, my niece's son was diagnosed with leukemia, and my wife, saw an article about the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society team in training, and she said, well, this is something you could, do. We thought we were going to lose him, and then he had a umbilical stem cell transplant, and he's been cancer-free for 5 years now, and I think he's very proud that I'm out there running for him and that I've raised this money, and that I'm active in the society. So I'll keep running for Russell in the marathon as long as my body will hold out.
Oh man, this should not happen. Not with satellite equipment. You gotta be kidding, you think I'm gonna back up. The lengths I go to find out why people run. Excited to go up to see Ron? It's a lot different than Chicago, that's for sure. I went out and drove the marathon route the first year that I did it. It actually took us longer to drive it than the people who win the race, longer than it takes them to run it. So it's not something you can just decide to do one nice weekend afternoon. You do have to prepare for it.
Oh, wow, she really wants to go in.
The place was built in 1908. This is what it looked like when my in-laws bought it in '53. This is the old part here.
His theory was being anxious was good before a race. Being nervous was bad. Because I was telling him my marathon anxiety dreams where I'm searching and searching for the start line and I can't find it. And I see all these people and I'm like, oh shit, it already started and I'm not there. And then I realize I don't have my running shoes, and then I end up in some sporting goods store trying to see if I can get a pair of shoes, but then I realize I don't have any money with me, and then I have like my pajamas on. And meanwhile, people are running by, and I'm thinking, oh God, I missed it. I can't even find the starting line.
No, thank you.
That's my marathon. And I said that would be starting this week. He said, oh, well, that's just anxiety. It's okay.
I never had a dream about the marathon.
No?
No. Just a typical running naked in the street. That's about it. But no marathon dreams.
I used to, but not anymore. It's not something to worry about.
You mean after, what is it, 33 marathons?
Right.
After 33 marathons, you don't worry about it anymore?
You can stop worrying, right?
Well, maybe that's the secret. Maybe I just haven't done enough of them yet. What are you shooting for?
5 hours and 15 minutes would be great.
Oh, I'd shoot for 4 hours.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think my best time was Chicago at 4:15.
What about you, Leslie?
My bet, and what am I shooting for? To finish, like I do every time.
I asked Ron, I said, what do you think about when you run? Well, I don't think. I can't believe it.
No, that's not true. Sometimes I'll solve problems.
But that one time I asked you, and I said, what do you think about? I'm thinking about when I get back, I need to do this.
Other times I'm just a blank slate. Leslie, do you when you run? Do you
think?
Or when you're out there? Or?
Yeah, she thinks about the pain. How many more miles do I have to go?
I do. I think about.
I do assistance check.
I write music in my head.
Oh my goodness.
If I've started a piece, I can finish it in my head. It also comes to me when I'm swimming laps, because I'm hermetically sealed at that point. I have my snorkel, and I literally don't come out. I mean, I submerge my head, and then I swim for like 40 minutes. It's my salvation.
I have a
Truly.
negative. I was tested, and they tested the bone density, and it creates a negative buoyancy. Some people are like that. So I kind of like.
You sink?
I sink. I'm dense. So
We don't have to tie anything to you when we
No,
toss you out of the boat.
Throw
You
me
just
off
go
the
down.
lake. You don't bother. I'll just sink.
You're gone.
I'm gone.
We're down to 9 people who've run in each Chicago Marathon, and I can't. One of them's like 10 years younger than I am, so there's no way I'll last him. But I'll keep at it.
Gonna keep the stream going?
Right. I think we lost Danny.
Do you think they might have sunk?
Maybe we better go back and see. But then they had the Chicago Marathon coming on, and somebody said, "You can do the marathon." I said, "I can?" I said, "Yeah, go ahead and do it." Well, I hadn't trained or anything, and I got out there, and oh man, I said, I guess you have to train for these things, because it was painful. But it's only bad when you haven't trained enough, which is lately, that's how it's been.
So you're looking forward to next week then?
When it's over? Yeah, right.
And this will be your which Chicago Marathon?
This will be my 28th Chicago Marathon.
The first marathon, there were about maybe 7,000 runners. We're not sure. And the people that ran were just starting. No one knew how to run. And they ran in tennis shoes, their floppy hats. When Ron went to find out where he should stand and what mileage, he went and found people that were dressed like he was with Bermuda shorts and tube socks. And the finish line was really interesting because no one knew what to expect. And there were bodies all over with IVs. It just looked like a battlefield. People throwing up. I mean, because no one knew how to run. No one hydrated. It was just all these pale, pasty people. Ron was a color I have never seen on a live person before. And we all were thinking, oh, this is fun. I'm pushing a stroller, just trying to avoid all these wet people. And then the whole place smelled like, what would they hand out that one time? Tiger Balm?
Yeah.
Tiger Balm. But we could at least watch the runners. And as the years have gone by, now we can't even, see him.
There's crowds all along the way now.
The crowds are just packed.
Which is good for the runners.
And the runners don't spread out that much anymore. I mean, even at his speed, there's still, I shouldn't say that.
Right.
At his speed, there are
still plenty of people.
Still lots of people. There are lots of people.
A record number of spectators for this race. They say about 1.5 million spectators. For a complete list of those streets, you can
feel like the Michelin Man. Who would have thought October 22nd it would be so terrible in Chicago? My least favorite thing, gusting wind, 29 miles an hour. Oh my God. Well, I guess they don't call it the Windy City for nothing. I'll probably blow away in this thing. It's like the Flying Nun.
So I got a different number. Kristen got, those people got preferred starts.
Well, you got a preferred start with me.
Yes, I do.
You know what we should do? What we should do is that we gotta go. Bye, Molly. I tried calling you this morning because I wanted to say Merry Christmas when you answered the phone and you just never answered.
Ho, ho, ho.
Marty, I don't think I'm ready for this today.
Yeah, you are. We're more than ready.
What did the doctor tell you?
The doctor told me that he can fix anything that I break
Why is that?
because there's still a fracture in the top that's not healed.
In the top of your foot?
Yes,
And you're gonna run anyway.
I'm gonna run anyway. I have to. All the stuff those kids go through, Mimi last night, look at what that family alone's been through. And I'm not gonna whine about my foot's a little sore.
Doug and I joined Team in Training 3 years ago, just a few weeks after Keegan's diagnosis. We were fragile from fear, fresh from the crash course in childhood leukemia. We were reeling as well because Keegan's cancer arrived on the heels of our daughter Tierney's diagnosis shortly after birth with a rare chromosomal anomaly. When we told Keegan and his brother Riley about Tierney's condition, they were just 5 and 7, and Tierney was just 2 weeks old. We had to tell them the frightening statistic that 90% of babies born with Tierney's disorder did not make it to their first birthday. Their response was immediate and life-changing. If her life was to be short, then we must squeeze in as much fun as possible. They insisted we celebrate Tierney's first birthday right away. We did. Month after month, our house filled with family and friends, cakes and goodie bags, gifts and songs, as we celebrated the miracle of our daughter.
So Barney, what were you talking to Mimi and Doug about last night?
Oh, when I was running Wednesday, I almost didn't run because it was raining so hard. But then I'm like, well, I can't cheat Bosco out of his run. So we go out and we're going up Milwaukee Avenue, and this guy steps out of one of the restaurants and waves me down and said that people in a restaurant, they were wondering, well, who is this guy? Why is that dog got this purple shirt on? And so then somebody told me, oh, that's a Team in Training there and whatnot. Anyway, guy gives me $300. They passed the hat in the restaurant and collected $300. So I'm glad I went out and ran Wednesday.
Oh, no kidding. That's awesome.
Unbelievable.
Well, I never cease to be amazed at the creative ways that people think of to raise money.
Well, there's got to be a way that I can get more donations.
If all the people you knew just gave you $5.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think one of the things that people don't realize too is that it doesn't matter how much you give.
Right. I think that's a big factor.
I mean, those dollars, no rain guys, are very important.
Oh, Ron Williams said that. Most of the donations he gets are no more than $25.
Yeah.
But he gets 500 donations of $25.
Yeah.
But then we met all of you. We showed up at the lakefront week after week to pound out our rage through the soles of our feet. The isolation we felt as the parents of 2 sick children melted away as we ran by your side.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Many of you were by our sides again this February when our daughter died at the age of 33 months.
Good morning. Are you in disbelief? I am in disbelief.
And then in May, at the kickoff for this marathon, we shared with you the news that Keegan had relapsed again and needed a bone marrow transplant. This team came out in droves to be tested, and then rejoiced with us when a donor was found.
You already crushing it? I'm sweating. Yeah?
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to take off my sweats right now.
He loved walking into a crowd of purple, believing that everyone was running for him. He loved the pretty girls who wanted to take his picture.
We're going to go out in 11:30 as far as we can go and then crash, which is not the way to do it. The fracture is right underneath.
All right, well, I know you'll make it to the finish line.
All right.
Great. Thanks.
All right.
Have a good one.
He loved Leslie. He loved Kathy's gazpacho. He loved Marty and his dog Bosco. Keegan loved pretty Kristen Hartman and his Aunt Beth,
who are running their first marathon for the team tomorrow. Keegan loved life. He learned the tough lessons early about heartache and grief. Keegan spent fully 1/3 of his life fighting cancer. But his days were never about the struggles he faced or the losses he suffered. He found magic and beauty and love in every single day. Keegan was buried on the day of the 18-mile training run, among the hordes of people who were celebrating his life that day were the runners from Keegan's team. We could feel the collective weight of your love. Last year, Keegan sat in the front row while I spoke at the pasta party. He smiled from ear to ear and gave me not one, but 2 thumbs up through the entire speech. I can feel him grinning here today as he looks down on all of us. He is so proud of you. We hope you understand that what you have given to our family is nothing less than a miracle. We feel lucky to know you, and we hope you feel like us, lucky to have been his team. Keegan was just one of the approximately 100,000 people who were diagnosed with leukemia in 2004, and just one of thousands who died this year. And we are just one of the families on this difficult cancer journey. But on our path has been the team.
Good job, guys.
By myself.
Bye-bye.
Time you hit mile 20, you're just right back to putting one foot in front of the other. The only thing you focus on at that point is getting to the end. And you are just, if you have to crawl, you're going to get to the end. I mean, everybody feels that way. And that's what people are doing who are going through treatment. I mean, they're just taking it sometimes 1 second to the next. That's all they can do. they can't think ahead. They can't plan. And there's a kinship in the discomfort of the marathon running. You feel close to the people that you're running for, and you think about the discomfort they are in, and that they can't stop. They have to keep fighting, and they have to keep going. And there is a strong spiritual bond there.